CS 3351 Digital Principles and Computer Organization. Topic is Operation and Operands of Computer Hardware. Instructions presented by Devi Visalakshi, Assistant Professor of CSE Department, Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. Operation and operands of computer hardware instruction. Computer instruction is a binary code that determines the micro operations in a sequence for a computer. They are saved in memory along with information. Each computer has its specific group of instructions. They can be categorized into two elements: operation codes and address. Opcodes specify the operation of specific instructions, and an address determines the registers or the areas used for the operation. Operands are definite elements of computer instruction that show what information to be operated on. The most important general categories of data are address, numbers, characters, logical data. Addresses are nothing but to format data. Here some calculation must be performed on the operand reference in an instruction, which is to be determined the physical address of an instruction. Numbers. All machine languages include numeric data types. Even in non-numeric data processing, numbers are needed to act as counters, fields, width, etc. An important difference between numbers used in ordinary mathematics and numbers stored in the computer is that the latter is limited. Thus, the programmer is faced with understanding the consequence of rounding, overflow, and underflow. Integer or fixed point. Fixed point representation is used to store integers, the positive and negative whole numbers. However, the programmer assigns a radix point location to each number and tracks the radix point through every operation. High-level programs such as C and BASIC usually allocate 16-bit to store each integer. Each fixed point binary numbers was three important parameters that described it: whether the number is signed or unsigned, the position of the radix point to the right side of the signed bit, or the position of the radix bit to the most significant bit, and the number of fractional bits stored. Floating point. A floating point number usually has a decimal point, which means 0, 3.14, 6.5 and minus 125 point or floating point numbers. The term floating point is derived from the fact that there is no fixed number of digits before and after decimal point, which means the decimal point can float. They are also representations in which the number of digits before and after decimal point is set, called fixed point representations. In general, floating point representation is slower and less accurate and fixed point representations, but they can handle a large range numbers. Decimal number. The decimals are an extension of our number system. We also know that the decimals can be considered fractions with 10, 100, 1000, etc. The numbers expressed of the decimal form are called decimal numbers system. For example, 1, 4.09, 13, etc. A decimal number has two parts. A dot separates these parts is called decimal point. Whole number part as well as decimal part. Whole number part, the digits lying to the left of the decimal point form a whole number part. The places begin with ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on. Decimal part. The decimal part of the digits laying on the right side of the decimal point form the decimal part. The places begin with tens, thousands, hundreds, and so on. Characters. A common form of the data is text or character strings. While textual data are most convenient for humans, but computers work in binary, so all characters, whether letters, punctuations, or digits, are stored as binary numbers. All of the characters that a computer can use are called character set. Here are the two common stands for ASCII as well as Unicode. ASCII is full form is American Standard Code for Information Interchange. ASCII uses 7 bits giving a character set of 128 characters. The characters are represented in a table called ASCII table. The 128 characters include 32 control codes, 32 punctuation codes, symbols and space, 26 uppercase letter, 26 lowercase letters, number digits 0 to 9. We can say that the letter A is first letter of the alphabet, B is the second letter, and all the way up to Z, which is the 26th letter. In ASCII, each character has its own assigned number.